Welcome to our practice today. We will work with Santosha translated contentment this week. To come into a seated position is where we are starting. So I've taken a block. You don't need a block at all for this practice. It might be useful every now and then, but don't worry about it. I will just place the block down. And if you don't have one, you can sit on a cushion, a folded blanket, or whatever else makes you slightly elevated, because I do believe that we need to be comfortable, especially if we tend to sit for a few minutes. As we come into a seated pose, just moving, rocking, moving the shoulders, maybe the neck, and just going into your personal little wiggles and flows. And when you do find a position that feels quite centered across the sitting bones and where your spine is upright, and be that you're leaning against the wall, take an inhalation and lift your shoulders to your ears. And when you're breathing out, guide them gently back and down and feel how your heart area is lightly opening already. With your next inhalation, let your belly relax and soften. And you could, from there, being more relaxed in your seat, touch your index and thumbs together. Palms can face up or down. I prefer oftentimes the palms facing up for an easier shoulder alignment, but sometimes we're not ready to expose the palms of our hands, and if that is your feeling right now, you can turn the palms down. Let your eyes close, and if that's not yours, steady your gaze anywhere but against your screen. The screen is flickering, although you might not notice that with your eyes. So steadying the gaze in that case, if eyes aren't closed, to a steady gaze point. And we will begin our practice in stillness in the seated position, the body relaxed, the heart a little bit lifted, the shoulders at ease and down. And bring your attention to your breath now. According to the ancient yogis, contentment is not a feeling based on circumstances. We can learn to increase our feeling of contentment using the mind. It's something that we can get better at to reveal our natural happy state. We will start with a short meditation that helps us to feel contentment. Let your mind be relaxed, but don't allow the mind to wander off. Stay present. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. And as you keep breathing, relax into the knowledge that you are safe and that you live in a safe community. Take that in. You are safe and you live in a safe community. Take stock of your body, your good health, your body's ability to heal itself. Be thankful that you can feel your steady breath and hear my voice. Begin repeating silently to yourself the mantra, all is well. All is well as you slowly inhale, and all is well as you exhale. Allow the mind to accept all is well. If the mind resists or distracts, just notice that and gently bring your attention back to the mantra. All is well. As you exhale while continuing, feel a softening in the heart area. Continue for a bit longer, repeating the mantra silently, softening the heart area with the out-breath. Don't think of anything in particular, just feel the energy of all is well. Breathe into this energy and let it move through you like medicine. I will leave you with a few more silent repetitions of this mantra. All is well. Let go now of the mantra itself. But don't let your mind drift away or go wild. Changing your focal point from your mantra now to your breath. Keeping or trying to keep the awareness with the breath throughout the class. As you open the eyes, you might want to remove anything that you have placed under to support and find yourself in an all-four stance on your mat. Your knees at about hip distance, your hands spread out into the mat at shoulder distance. Keep the breath flowing, and as you next inhale, soften your elbows, lift your tail and your gaze. And when you're exhaling, straighten your arms and round your back. On the inhale, your elbows soften, the tail, the gaze is rising. On the out breath, you're rounding into your back. Now I will stop talking to you about the breath. You concentrate on it, your focal point, and allowing yourself then to be guided in the pace of your own breathing between the cow on the inhale and the cat on the exhale. Vidalasana in our yoga language. Go for one more round. And when completed, neutralize the spine as you inhale. And on the exhale, let your buttocks sit to the heels, but leave your hands glued to the mat, your knees in the distance that they were in. On the inhalation, returning again onto all fours. And raising the right knee, but keeping the knee bent and flexing the foot so that the sole of the foot now points to the ceiling. As you inhale, lift this knee and your gaze. Then point the foot. And when you're breathing out, draw your knee and nose together under the body. On the inhale, the foot is flexing. We're lifting the knee and the gaze. Foot points on the out breath, knee to the nose. One more. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, curling under. Now leave your foot pointed, but raise your knee again and lengthen your spine. On the next inhale, your left arm comes forward and you swing it by the side on the out breath, taking a hold of the foot if you can reach it, not essential. Lifting the knee behind or bringing the foot into the hand as you open your chest to hold. Keep breathing, your focal point. And then release. Your hand down, your knee down, and sit back again to the heels. Hands glued to the mat, keeping the alignment. And on the inhale, returning again onto all fours. And as you breathe out, find yourself stable in this shape. With the next in-breath, raise your left knee, flex the foot, shine the sole of the foot to the ceiling. And lift the knee more as you inhale and your gaze. Then point your foot. And when you're breathing out, draw your knee and nose together. As you're inhaling, push the foot up, lift your gaze. Point the foot as you're exhaling and round. And one more time, inhaling as we lift to open and breathing out to deeply round the back. Let's lift the foot again, but keep the foot pointed, neutralizing through your spine. And when you're inhaling, raising the right arm. And as you exhale, swing that along the side of the body, either hold here or grip your foot. We're lifting the knee, maybe the arm, or bringing the foot into the hand. And we'll all lift the gaze to hold. Then place your hand, your knee back down. And exhaling into the child's pose. But you might now release your arms along the side, and you might do so. There's no obligation to. Curling into full child's pose or balasana. If you need a support underneath the forehead, that could be your cushioning that you've been sitting on. And if your arms need to be forward, let the shoulders and the elbows soften. As we focus back inwards, there's our opportunity to work with contentment. Are you content right now within this shape, applying these principles to this practice, this moment in which we are engaging into our asana or physical practice of the physical postures? As your breath is moving, think about the back of the heart opening now. Reaching your arms again towards the front end of the mat and letting your fingers spread out onto the floor. On the inhalation, come up onto all fours. Tuck the toes under and exhale for a downward facing dog. Let's do that one more time. Inhaling, place the knees down. You can flatten out the toes and exhaling to sit towards the heels. On the in-breath, all fours. Toes draw under and exhaling for downward dog. Start to move your dog a little. Keep connection with your breath. You might start to walk out the legs And with that, take tiny little steps forward to bring your feet into the space between your hands. Allow your upper body to soften down. Your knees might be in a light bend. Inhale, then lengthen your spine forward, half lifting. Hands could be higher than the floor or the fingertips on the ground. And with the out breath, fold it again. Let's bend our knees. Reach the arms forward and then up as you're breathing in. And with the out breath, then placing the hands down at heart center. Now we're in a mountain pose, quite solid and strong. With the next inhalation, lift the arms and your gaze. With the exhalation, bring the hands back to the heart, bend your knees and your hips coming into the chair. The spine is long. Push down into the feet, inhale, lifting the arms, maybe even the heels coming off the ground, your choice. As you breathe out, lower the heels, chair pose, Utkarasana. Let's do a couple more here. Inhaling, lifting up, maybe the heels coming off the ground. On the exhale, a chair pose. One more. Your pace of breathing. As we come to land within the chair pose, feel the groundedness over your feet. Leave the sit bones open, the lower belly activated to support the shape. And if you feel content with the hands at the heart, you can hold here. But maybe you would like to extend yourself a bit more. Keep your focus on your breathing though. If you notice the breath is going out, it's not worth it to compromise. Being quite happy where you're at. Inhale here. On the exhalation, fold forward. On your in-breath, lengthening through the spine. And on the exhalation, stepping your right foot back into a lunge. On your in-breath, collapse the lunge. If you would like your knee to be on the floor, you can have it. But on the out-breath, we will roll up through our spine. On the inhale, lifting the arms up. On the exhale, bring the hands to the heart, but turn towards the front knee. Keep standing nice and tall. On the inhale, reach the arms up. On the exhale, come back to the twisted lunge. One last time, inhaling to lift. Exhaling to twist and to pause there. How does this shape feel? Is your mind still attached to the breath? Are you creating any unnecessary tension? On your next inhalation, lifting again. On the exhalation, bring your hands down and step your foot back into downward dog. On your inhalation, roll the spine forward, come into a plank or a kneeling plank. On your out breath, lower down onto the front of your body. Rest your chin or your forehead to the mat. And let your arms lengthen down alongside the body. On your in-breath, raise your legs, head, chest, and your arms. Actively reach back with toes and fingers and hold here. If you are breathing, your breath will have changed. That's the nature of the back bend. But keep the breath flowing as you lengthen and lift your body. If it is all right to do so, stay for another breath. And when you're then exhaling, landing with your favorite ear on the mat, You can have little movements in the pelvis until you find a moment of stillness. There's never real stillness, but your focus is steady, creating the quieting of the mind as you keep following your breath. Let's bring the head back into center. Place the hands back by the sides of your lower ribs. Inhale, 204s. Exhaling your buttocks to the heels. Inhaling, 204s. The toes tuck under and breath out for a downward facing dog. Noticing where you're at within your down dog. And inquire again, are you creating any tension? If there is unnecessary tension anywhere in the body, it will be reflected in your breathing. And if there is, find modifications such as knees down or engaging into the rolling open of the shoulders, for example. With the next in-breath now, extend your right leg up and back, flexing through the foot so the pelvis remains aligned. Point your toes as you inhale. On the exhale, bring your knee to your chest and then land your foot or help it between your hands. Lowering your back heel down onto the mat. On the in-breath, let your upper body collapse. Use the ground to lift up from as you're exhaling to stand. And on the inhale, extend your legs and your arms. As you breathe out, bend your front knee and reach your arms behind your back, interlacing the hands here. As you inhale, draw your arms down, maybe away from your back. Lift your heart, lift your gaze, and pause. Are you engaging the arches of your feet? And with that, are you feeling as if you are lifting away from the ground and opening your heart wide? Breathe into the heart space. And when you're exhaling, lower into a humble warrior, where your right shoulder moves towards the inside of the right knee. Arms could be lifted away from the back, or they could rest down if this is stressful in the shoulders. Holding the shape as you stay in. A bow before yourself, a humbling before your own practice. But as you kind of surrender with the upper body, turning the awareness back within, your feet are still strong and supporting the shape to create the safety within the posture that we need. Let your hands now release and frame either side of your front foot. Raise your back heel, lengthen your spine as you inhale in, and then step the foot forward, exhaling, forward fold. On the inhale, lengthen the spine for a half lift and raise out again to bend. On the inhale, bend both of your knees, reach the arms forward and then up. And as you're exhaling, place your hands back at heart center. Take a deep breath in and a long, slow breath out while you're cultivating the strength again from the feet up to the crown of the head for heart-centered mountain pose. On the inhale, lift your arms, maybe your heels. On the exhale, land your feet, returning into Uttanasana, the chair. On the inhale, lifting up. On the exhale, landing back into the chair. Repeating for 3 more rounds. It's up to you whether your heels are actually lifting Or if you prefer the support and the safety from the ground, you keep your feet on the floor. Once you've completed the last round, we meet again in chair pose. Sit bones open again, check in with the even weight bearing across both feet evenly. Lower tummy on to help with the alignment and support. Options to keep hands at heart if that's where you're at, or to extend the arms all the way or halfway. Noticing sensations if you are changing position. Let's inhale in the chair. And on the out breath, folding down into your standing forward bend. On the inhale, a half lift. On the exhale, step your left foot far back into a lunge. On the in-breath, collapse the lunge, and you may bring your knee down if you want extra support. On the out-breath, rolling up through the spine. On the inhale, lifting the arms. On the exhale, touch the hands to the heart and twist towards the side where your front leg is. Inhaling, lifting, maybe legs straightening. Exhaling as you return into the twist. We'll do that once again, inhaling to lift. And exhaling to twist and hold. Take note, if your hands are touching your heart space, stay connected, the flow of the breath. Let shoulders be soft and foundation be rather strong. As you might take a different perspective here, looking out to the side. On the next inhale, raise your arms again, center the body. On the exhale, bring your hands down and step back into downward facing dog, Ardha Mukha Svanasana. On the in-breath, roll the spine forward, come to plank, on kneeling plank. And exhale to lower onto the mat. Resting the forehead or the shin down and lengthening the arms alongside the body. As we are oftentimes creatures of habit, the palms of my hands are usually facing up when I lie down. So I will now turn the palms downwards. Please do the same with your hands, depending on where they're usually facing, we're doing the opposite. On the in-breath then, lift your head, chest, legs, and your arms, and hold again. Another variation of the locust or Shavasana. And as you hold yourself, keep the spine in the curve and include the neck as you're extending yourself in this shape. Notice the change of the breath, but stick with it, your awareness on the breathing. Inhale again. And as you're exhaling, lower. You can turn your hands back into comfort and bring your second ear down to the mat, allowing the bodily systems to slow back down. And part of that is actually of the breath becoming more balanced again. So keep observing your breathing, taking mental notes of where your body is at. There's never a guarantee when we come to the mat that our practice is like it was last week. Or ever will it be the same when we return to the mat tomorrow or next week. So only this moment is here to experience. And we're trying to do so by keeping the awareness with the breath, our focal point. Let's center the head again. Bring the hands down by the sides of your floating ribs. Inhale as you rise onto all fours. On the out breath, sitting back to the heels. On the inhale, come onto all fours, draw the toes under and exhaling back into downward facing dog. Finding the balance and the stillness of the dog as you allow the weight bearing to be well distributed between hands and feet. Shoulders are still at ease and open. And as you inhale, raising the left leg up, keep the foot in a flexion, the pelvis aligned. As you inhale, point the toes. With the exhale, draw your knee to your chest and aim with your foot between your hands. Help it if it's not listening, and then lower the back heel down onto the floor. As you inhale, let your upper body hang down. On your out breath, roll up to stand and breathe in to extend your legs and lift your arms. On the out breath, bend your front knee, bring the hands behind into an odd interlace. That doesn't feel quite right. Then lengthen the arms down and away from your back as you open your heart. Hold here. Gaze might be lifted if the neck allows you to, but heart is opening. And you feel supported by arches and groundedness through the feet. Inhale. Exhale to humble warrior as you lean to the inside of the front knee. Arms might be lifted away from the back, and I invite you to hold right there. Letting go of the head if that feels good. As you stay low, arms can be lifted or rest on your back. Being humble, the way you look within. Being kind and loving as you keep your focus resting over your breath. Then let your hands release and frame the front foot, lifting the back heel, lengthening up on your fingertips, spine and leg. And with the out breath, then step into a standing forward fold. On your inhale, find a half lift. On the exhale, bend. On the inhale, bend your knees deeply. Reach your arms forward and up. And on the exhale, take your hands back to heart center, returning to the mountain. Stay connected to the heart space, one of the most important areas when it does come to Santosha or contentment. Your gaze is steady. You might lower it down somewhere in front and shift your weight now towards your left foot. As we lift the right foot off the floor and bend the right knee, this could be your balance. The knee is bent and the foot is behind us, as you might release your right hand and take a hold of the outer side of this foot, bringing your knees together. Your heel might be encouraged towards the buttocks and the hips are moving forward. You can from here touch your index and thumbs together on the other hand in front of your chest. If you're not holding onto the knee, you can still join in as the foot. As you inhale, lifting your left arm and lifting your gaze to a new steady point. And when you're then inhaling, lift the knee behind or bring the foot into the hand. Leave your chest open and your gaze steady. Shavasana or the dancer pose. Hold that. Full extension. The gaze is steady. The breath is flowing. As you inhale, lift, land, and breathe out to bring the hands back to the heart. Allow yourself to come straight back to the breath rather than letting the mind engage in anything that you perceive as not being completely well. Breath-centered focus as you shift your weight towards your right foot. And then lifting the left foot off the floor as you bend your knee. Same options. You could leave it at that, or you can take your left hand and take a hold of the outer side of the foot. Bringing your knees together, your heel to your bottom, and your hips moving forward to create length in the quads. Touching the index and thumbs together on the hand and your chest. You're welcome to stay at any place, content and connected to your breath. Or with the next inhale, lifting the knee, the arm, or bringing the foot into the hand and opening your heart again. Leave your gaze wide open at your solid gaze point. You can always fall in and out of balances as we're holding here. What doesn't fall in and out is your focal point. It remains at the breath, never attached to any outcome, just the breathing. As you inhale and as you exhale, bring the hands back to the heart. Right here and now, the breath might have changed, but it still comes in and out. As you next inhale, raise the arms, the gaze. As you exhale, hands to heart for a last chair pose. You may extend the arms forward if you choose to do so as you breathe in. And then exhaling, folding down and forward. On the inhale, come to a half lift. And breathe out to bring both of your knees down onto the mat and let your buttocks sit to the heels. Hands might start just in front of your knees, but out at shoulder distance, so they're wider. You can tuck your elbows into your side and lean just forward into a halfway point. That is for you if you do not want to put your head any lower, or if you have any pressure problems in the head or high blood pressure. If you have none of that and would like to invert more deeply, tuck your chin in and place the head down quite close to your knees. If you are progressing here and you don't need the support and assistance of your hands on the floor, reach your arms behind your back and interlace the hands here. If you take this option, release your index fingers and touch them together. Your chin is in your throat. And as you inhale, lift your hips up, roll to the top of the head. And when the shoulders are happy, you can raise your arms, Sasangasana, the rabbit. Stay with your head low if that feels good. And allow fresh blood to flow to the brain. There is no reason to hold any shape that causes stress and discomfort in the body. Your indication is also your focal point, which is the breath. And if something doesn't feel right, the breath doesn't feel right anymore and you will release. If you can hold for another couple of breaths, you could. And my suggestion at the end of those breaths is a full child's pose. Again, you can support the head with something underneath the forehead, or your arms might rest by your sides. If you don't have any support, bring the hands forward, but otherwise allow yourself to rest again in the child. where the head is still low, so some downward flow is still happening, but your focus is now expansion of the back of the heart, as well as that inward focus as you curled within. Take your hands now out in front, make fists with them, stack the fists, and then rest the forehead onto the stacked fists. So we are aligning the head back with the heart. You might notice there's a shift within as the blood flow realigns. There's less pressure into the head. And you might get towards a sense of inner balance. Slowly raising the upper body and taking the legs out in front of you. Now I sit quite centered on the mat, and for that reason I will move forward on the mat, leaving much more space behind me. I will also use that space, but you could take your cushioning again and roll up the end of the mat to lift up through my sitting bones. I will ask you then to bend both of your knees at least lightly, if not deeply. Turn the toes up, so actively flexing the feet and placing my fingertips down by my sides. Sit up as you inhale, lifting from the crown of the head like we are in a seated mountain pose. And with the exhalation, then leaning a straight spine forward. The gaze is lowered lightly, and your hands are now adjusting. So you take them to a comfortable spot near your legs or on your legs. As you inhale again, and then with the exhale, you might lower your upper body down. If you felt better sitting more upright, you could continue from there too. I will ask you to keep your strong focal point, your breathing, and the concentration on the breath, but to hold the shape. To acknowledge if you're aiming for something that lies beyond your doing today. Just because you are oftentimes in this position doesn't mean that it is the same when you come to this mat. So allow yourself to be where you are content, rather than creating tension or even pain in your body. Stay with this shape for a few more breaths. With the next inhalation, lengthen your spine as if you were to come halfway out of the pose. Bringing your hands back, and as you're exhaling, lifting up through the spine again, returning to your seated position. Move away from any support. Have a long mat behind you. Grab everything that you might need to be comfortable and warm, or putting clothing back onto the body. I will guide you once we're ready into a lying down position, but let us go there together. So as your legs are extending out at the front, your feet are flexed, raise your arms to shoulder height, inhaling. And then count to 5 as you slowly lower. I will leave that pace up to you, so you're feeling still comfortable with this movement. Once you are lying down, let your arms release too and have a light glimpse at Shavasana. Your focus never changing. It is your breath that flows through the nose. And with the next inhalation, bending your right knee. And with the exhalation, hugging the right knee into the chest. We will hold it here, the shoulders soft. The foot on the left leg maybe flex slightly. Please feel welcome to even keep the hold of the knee, your practice here. If you would like to join in for a twist, take the opposite hand to the kneecap. Let the right arm lightly fall away from your body. And when you're exhaling, guiding your knee across the body. Leaving your shoulders at ease, hand can stay on the knee or relax. And if it feels appropriate, you could roll the head to either side. Little effort, just a little add-on if that is good for you. Allowing yourself to rest within. As you are inhaling, center your body. As you exhale, let the right leg come out long. Your body, take another look at Shavasana. On the in-breath, bending your left knee. On the out-breath, hugging the knee into the chest. You may choose to lightly flex the foot on the extended leg. Soften your shoulders here. Keep a hold of the leg in towards the chest. And you might choose, if this feels particularly good, to stay here. If you would like to come along, right hand to the kneecap, left arm lightly falling away. And when you're exhaling, guiding your knee across the body. You might then choose to turn the head to either side. You can keep your hand on the knee or relax the arms entirely, holding the twist. On the next in-breath, rolling back to the center. On the out-breath, extending your left leg. Relax your arms again, the legs relax. Now notice, is this your Shavasana? If it is, stay here, but you might bring in some cushioning under the head, under the knees, a blanket over the top, an eye pillow if you have. But if this causes you even the slightest of discomfort, please do bend your knees, step your feet down wide and let your knees drop in for a constructive rest, which has been proven to be a great adjustment of Shavasana if that is uncomfortable. Leaving you in any of these two postures with the body relaxed, and diving into the stillness that corpse pose has to offer. Your awareness, however, might stay with the breath. When you turn your attention inward and quiet the mind, you can begin the practice of Santosha or contentment. We must first take stock of our inner environment. When focusing inward, we can witness how the mind is constantly thinking of the past or the future. This unconscious nature of the mind may sabotage our natural contentment. Once we are aware of this, we can begin to train the mind by reining it in and directing our thought process to the here and now. Please do so for the next few minutes. If the breath makes your mind wander on its own, you can return to the mantra, all is well, with each breath in, with each breath out, and while you're exhaling, also softening the heart. If your mind is going along with the mantra, let the mantra release. Stay connected to your breath and acknowledge that very easily in this material life that we live in, our mind is drawn to other places, places that do not bring us joy or happiness, although our mind might trick us into that. Longing for material goods or reaching for things that we really do not need is a cause of suffering. So you might choose to practice contentment today, this week, whenever you require to learn that outer circumstances mainly have nothing to do with feeling content and happy. We can train our minds this way. As you deepen your breath, start to move the body lightly. Maybe it's the fingers, the toes that are wiggling. Maybe you're creating a stretch for yourself. And then find your way to join me in a seated position. Placing hands again to touch in front of the heart. Lifting the heart again. We'll complete our practice with the chant of 3 Oms, the universal sound that brings us together as a whole. We'll exhale to synchronize, inhaling for the first Om. Lightly bowing the heads and extending to each other. All is well. Namaste.